What's going on, guys? So welcome to part one of my ayahuasca journey and how we got here. Hopefully at least one person can benefit from this, and that person may even be me, just in sharing the process. But doing this for you guys. I've had multiple people reach out along this path and just want me to share my experience, and I've been sharing it, and some of the feedback I've gotten from that has been amazing. So we're gonna do it. I don't know how long each of these videos will be. In talking to some people already, I would expect upwards of 20 to 30 minutes. So hopefully you guys will plan it out, watch the whole thing if it really matters to you. If not, then hopefully you're doing really well. And you don't need any of this. So let's do it. First thing I want to talk about, I had a coaching session today and he said I should use this as an example. Missed exit. So how did I get to where I'm at that I need ayahuasca, and what was I trying to do? Amanda and I, my wife, for those of you that don't know, and Drover, our fur child, just finished a nearly 7,000 mile, 6-week road trip around the country. Part of that, I was in Costa Rica for the retreat, but it was a long time to be a Jeep Wrangler. And fortunately, I have an incredible marriage and we made it through it pretty solidly. But we were probably 45 minutes from home after, again, nearly 7,000 miles, and about a quarter mile away from an exit. Right at that time is when I felt the need to switch over from the map to Spotify to find some music. And sure enough, as I switched back to the map, I was passing the exit and I fucking exploded. Fortunately, I quickly get that under control. Not only before going, but now as I'm immediately able to process kind of the emotion or the ridiculousness of the situation. But in that explosion, Drover's pretty upset. Amanda is immediately upset because my anger is very visceral. I'm never really violent, to those around me. But just the energy that comes out of that experience is a lot. It's not just for people around me, it's for me. I think the biggest thing in that is I felt dumb, and my coach's biggest thing in relaying this to you was not, I'm not dealing with $1 million real estate transaction in our business. I'm not trying to start a company or dealing with any of that. It is literally, I chose at a quarter mile before my exit that I felt that was an appropriate time to look for music, and sure enough, missed my exit. And it's something that I'm sure a lot of you have done, and you guys can relate to that explosion. I think in other videos we'll kind of deep dive a little more into my thoughts as to the cause of that, but that's not the purpose right now. So hopefully you guys are laughing at kind of how dumb it is, and laughing at a time that you've done it and can associate to that. And so let's dig a little deeper. When I was going to this trip, as we had been on our road trip and meeting with different people, and I share with everyone kind of my journey, and then especially the ayahuasca experience that I was looking forward to going to. So why are you doing it? What do you hope to get out of that? One quick thing, I have a whiteboard in front of me. The way that we're moving, I normally have an office with multiple whiteboards that I can do all this in front of, and I don't have that set up currently with where we're at in Texas. So I will be looking down to reference just some notes I took. So back to it, ultimately addressing that question to people. And if I had to dial it down to one thing, it's emotional stability. And that's really why I started with that first example of me missing the exit and fucking exploding. I have lost the ability of emotional stability. People in general, you're at that 50% mark and you've got adrenaline-inducing reactions that you have, anger, excitement, whatever it may be. For the purpose of our conversation, mine is going to be anger, where I can immediately skyrocket to rage. Or the opposite is abject fatalism. It's not just disappointment, it is the world is ending. Everything that I've built, everything that I've worked for is falling apart, and the world is against me. And 20, 30 times in a day, I can ride that roller coaster. And not only does my wife, who's my fucking unicorn, have to ride that with me, we have a marriage that we are together all the time. It's amazing. But she has to eat that. but probably even more, potentially worse, I don't know the true analysis of that right now, is that I eat that. I'm a firm believer that probably the biggest cause of cancer is stress. So not probably, I'm a firm believer that the largest cause of cancers is stress and what we do to ourselves. I don't want that. I don't want that for myself. I don't want the emotional toll and the drain that I feel every day of that emotional instability. It made even worse, as any operators who are here listening to this, that you can appreciate, is that we internalize all of that. Non-operators, I'm sure a lot of you, male and female, do the same thing. As we ride that roller coaster, we don't want other people to see us riding that roller coaster, so we suppress it and we just eat it inside. And how fucking unhealthy is that? Let alone, as I'm having examples, as I'm improved on the backside of the experience, of reflective points where I think that I'm holding it inside, but they can see it. The people around us can feel that, and they've adjusted and made compensating mechanisms for us so that, because they love us, of how we can navigate that emotional instability, and it just fucking sucks. So my thoughts on why that is. I think that, to put an object to it, is that we all have a cup inside of us. And you have stimuli that comes in, whether it's interactions you're having with someone, sensory inputs, things you hear, smell, see, touch, experience in any different way. We have the ability to process that and react emotionally. We think about things, but we think about reactions and actions that we take, but it's our emotions that put those thoughts into action. Everything is emotion based. So we have that cup. Is there space in that cup that everyone has where the input comes in, it sits in that cup? And again, this is just the way I view it. And if you hear the water buffalo, that is my dog in the background. It sits there so that we can then consciously, objectively process it, or emotionally process that input. Through my life, I have filled that cup, and I still feel, I suppose, that I lost the ability for that input to come in and sit somewhere. So my emotional reaction would be instantaneous before I could put any cognitive thought to it. And then I'm trying to play catch up as I chase it to the extremes of that emotional stability graph. If I was to dial it down to one thing that I wanted to work on, it was that. How do I unpack that cup? All the shit that's in there, and we'll dive into that in a couple bullet points. A couple bullet points down the list as to why I think that cup was full, or a little background on me, I suppose. But how do I unpack that so that I am able to regain emotional stability? There's a few other reasons, I suppose, that I'm still working out. So why I went, what I got out of it, etc. And I'm sure it'll come out as I kind of free flow my way through these videos. But if I was to say one thing that I was looking for when I went there, is that. So let's back up a little bit, because I think a key aspect as to why I ultimately got so much out of this experience is the incredible amount of hard work that I've been doing for quite some time. And it starts with another plant medicine, and that's psilocybin. I was in special operations for a long time, in the 10th Special Forces Group. While doing that, I met my wife, and we built a real estate investment company to go at the same time. I grew up building houses, and as I got out of the military, I started doing construction, started a short-term rental management company, various other entrepreneurial endeavors. So I really used psilocybin to navigate those stresses. Really purposeful intent of solving problems within one of those businesses, or just trying to clear my mind. As I was doing it, I would say the one thing that would make the noise stop in my head as I'm trying to be present in conversations is psilocybin. You'll see, some of you may do Adderall or Ritalin, some of that stuff, ADHD stuff, medications. That has a similar process. I think it's vastly healthier. A conversation for another time, I suppose, but ultimate effect is psilocybin. What psilocybin does not do, I think there's so much studies now what it does for depression. I'm not a depressed person. What it does not do is deep work to unpack that cup. It helps me clear my head so that I can process a little faster, a little easier, but it doesn't clear out the stuff that's in the cup. One thing that does is, while I've pursued these years of psilocybin, is I pay for coaching. I'm very humble in the aspect that I cannot do a lot of these things myself, and I need help. I pay for a performance coach. Chris has been with me for 2.5 years, and we were talking today, and it's like appreciating actually how long we've been together already. I have a high-level leadership and business coach, another Chris who's just fucking changed my life. Sarah's diet and lifestyle. I pay these people because I cannot do it myself, and the return on investment for these people is fascinating to the millionth of a compounding interest. It is incredible. But I have those in conjunction with psilocybin work, in conjunction with talking to Amanda. I don't believe in therapy personally. I think that it works for some people, or people who face different issues, they can do that. This is me. This is my experience, and what works for me, and kind of along that journey. I've tried therapy and it doesn't work for me. I get super angry, and those people are trying to put themselves in my shoes, that we have drastically different life experiences, and accept it's my own issue, but you gotta find what works for you. And so this does. That's why I'm sharing the journey. So let's just say at the point that I'm transitioning out, I start working with a coach. I'm going through these entrepreneurial endeavors, working with coaching, working with psilocybin. I get down to Texas. We buy a property down here, a fourplex. There's aspects of background that as to how we ended up here don't really matter. I've always been an idea of the universe is pushing me somewhere. There's some woo-woo in there. I end up here. I've got a lot of physical injuries, and my priority has been physical rehab, making sure that I can perform physically as optimally as possible. So I get down here to McAllen, and there's nothing down here. This place sucks, frankly. Sorry if you live here and you're watching this, but it does. I'm looking for contrast therapy for sauna and cold plunge. I find this place, they don't advertise. I just happened to come across them. Amanda found them for me. And I'm talking to him about my mental work that I'm doing, because I've now decided that we're here and I hate it here, but what can I focus on in positivity? I can try to optimize myself mentally and optimize myself physically for this incredible life that I've built. I'm successful. I've got incredible friends and family around me. A marriage that people would die for, a dog who is, for all intent and purpose, our child. We're continuing to grow. There's passion in life. I'm fucking excited about life, gratitude. But I've got these mental blocks that I can't get past, that I spiral, fucking anger or fatalism. I'm constantly in pain. I rehab enough just to then try to max out and push as hard as I can and put myself into the ground. That's all I know. My success has been built upon physical performance, mental aspects, of course, intelligence, but a lot of being a Green Beret is your physical aptitude. So how do I start to do the work to fix that or improve? I don't want to say fix. I am trying to optimize, and I think I'm going to bring that up a bunch as we look at my experience down in Costa Rica. Some people are trying to fix true traumas. I have a lot of background that we'll touch on in the next experience when I touch on Bufo, but I'm really at a place in my life where I'm trying to optimize. So I'm talking to the anesthesiologist who runs this wellness place. It's amazing, it's a passion project for him. He asked if I've ever done Bufo. I said no. I'm familiar with the toad, but I hadn't. It never really interested me. He said, I think it's something that you should look into. So I start researching. I'm like, all right, there's a shaman here, comes up from Mexico. And so I make an appointment like a week later and I just go into it. Spoiler, you should not just go into Bufo. We'll touch on that. Yeah, I guess here. Bufo, 5-MeO-DMT is different than DMT that is in ayahuasca. 5-MeO-DMT is the strongest psychedelic on the planet. It is not to be fucking trifled with. In hindsight, I went into that experience with my cup analogy, and here is, we'll touch on what's filled the cup a little bit. I used to say that I grew up poor, and what's funny is that I have, in my life now, I've been all over the world, I have seen poverty in a way that I cannot put words to. You don't appreciate it in the National Geographic videos, or the infomercials with Sarah McLachlan in the background. She might do the pets, but it's the starving Africa kids. I've seen that. Seen it in Afghanistan. I just did not grow up poor. I grew up lower middle class, I would say. We didn't have anything extra, but I always had food on the table. And I think there's an important distinction in there. I think that we look at being poor or struggle as a badge of courage. If I say I grew up poor, people will appreciate me more of what I've accomplished. That's fucking dumb. If you do that, stop it. Be real about it, or appreciate what actual poverty fucking is. It is not the way I grew up. Did we have anything extra? No. Compared to most of my friends, did I have less money? For sure. But there's an important quantification of poverty that I want to be clear there. It's something that's helped me, I think, in being realistic about that. Parents got divorced before I had memories, but kind of had a super loving household of my stepdad. But I love my father, so I was never really able to appreciate what I had at home. Fast forward, my brother was in and out of, he was a fucking problem kid. One person who I know is probably watching this is him, and I fucking cherish that man now, but this is back then. If he was around, he was pretty violent to me. And then we got to a point where there was a group of us that had older brothers that were all around the same age, and they started to think it was fun to see how fucked up they could get us. So I started doing drugs and drinking around 11 or 12. Shortly after that, as I would visit my dad, without diving into just a bunch of father shit, he would have breakfast in a can in the fridge for me. I know for sure he loved me, and he was, it's funny looking at through the eyes of an adult as a kid, but he was like my best friend. I got to drink with my dad or smoke pot with my dad and do all these cool things when I visit him. But there's that experience. Ultimately, he disappeared when I was 13 or 14. Just dipped out. People said he just went full into addiction. I know he ended up in Kentucky. Ultimately, the day, fast forward a little bit, he reached out and he got diagnosed with cancer. So I got on a plane the next morning and he died on my layover going out there. So that was super cool. Never got closure on that one. Just a lifetime of drug addiction. A lot of my very close friends are dead. Some of you are watching this are familiar with them. I was always a family person. My friends became like true family to me. And a lot of them are dead. Some of them suicide. And then a lot of ODs. Fortunately, I didn't do that. I went into the military, and to make a long story short, and the life experience that is being a Green Beret, the trials and tribulations and traumas that comes along with that, as anyone might expect. One thing about being an operator, I was talking to my buddy Cody about this, you look at who they select, and it is people with fucking traumatic backgrounds. It's funny. Funny enough, he particularly doesn't, but the drug addiction in special operations is so rampant. Like the amount of cocaine I did as an operator, is you're just trying to, we're all just fucking pushing as hard as we fucking can all the time. So there's an escape off-gassing aspect of how we party. But also you just face you're in pain a lot. You face a lot of mental trauma. And so you find escape routes for that. And so my lifetime of drug addiction really went through the team life too. But I was very good at my job. If you ask anyone who worked with me, I proudly say that and confidently say that I was an excellent operator. And a lot of that, as I mentioned, with the people with traumatic backgrounds, we have an ability to suppress and compartmentalize that is special. I think that I developed that at a very young age, just with my family, the addictions, experiences that I had through my life. I created a strength in suppression and compartmentalization. I handled that a lot of times through addiction. I think that was definitely a coping mechanism, but it's something we're good at. My goal with Bufo, where all this is going, my goal with Bufo and my cup is that I wanted Bufo to show me what is a starting chord I can pull on of all of these things that I've suppressed and filled my cup with. That I'm cognizant of all of them, but I have no appreciation for potentially what they've done to me. I'm successful. I'm in a good mood most of the time. I do spiral with that emotional instability, but I've got a pretty fucking great life, and I'm able to look at that. But I understand that there's core problems that I need to get rid of to optimize going forward. So I wanted Bufo to show me what one of those things was. It did not do that. I took it, went under, and immediately, now I've done psychedelics my whole life. I used to do a ton of LSD. Like, I long for that journey. The break in reality fascinates me. The way psilocybin can solve problems, how I think it gets your head out of the way to think with your heart. I've got a 100% success rate in solutions there, where I do a hero dose out into the stars and I connect with the fucking universe. It's incredible. Again, Bufo did not do that. I went in and there's no visuals, there's no nothing. I can feel this wall go up. And I'm in a soup of sound bowl sound as the shaman's going around me, and it's very much like Interstellar. But there is this sensory of something trying to break through this defense wall that I've put up. And if it got through, I was going to either die, have a psychotic break, just lose something of me that I didn't understand. But it's the most terrifying experience of my life. And that's someone who's experienced some pretty terrifying things. So I come out of that, I cried for about 45 minutes. And just thinking that I was so broken I could not be fixed. It was fucking horrible. Fortunately, I have coaches, and I've been working on this shit for years. So I immediately get on with Chris, and we just start to look at it as like, what can we gain from this? How can we look at this as just not a truly horrific experience? We looked at it as that the defense mechanism that has gotten me through my whole life and made me excel at, I'm good at most everything I try. This isn't a conceited thing, it's just a fact. I'm good at things. I excel at things, I'm successful at things. It's a gift that I'm very grateful for. And it's built, I think, on that defense mechanism that I've been able to suppress and compartmentalize bullshit and focus on what needs to be focused on, and it helps me succeed. Now it's the thing that's holding me back and killing me. So what Bufo showed me is not where to start to unpack that cup. It's showing me that the defense mechanism is the problem, is what we're coming to. So then the call of ayahuasca, the call of Mother Aya. Mother Aya is a hippie way to think that I can't quite get myself to, but it's fun to say, Mother Aya. And goddamn, is there an entity, and we'll get into that in future videos, but you converse with something. And here's where we kind of talk about Aya, and I believe very much, in hindsight, now that it calls to you, because that's either later that day or the next morning, I knew without a shadow of a doubt that I needed ayahuasca. The 10-minute Bufo experience that just fucking traumatized me was not the deep work I needed to do. I needed ayahuasca that I knew very little about, but I just knew that it was the deep work that I needed to do. It was going to run me through the ringer for hours on end for multiple sessions over a given period of time. But it was the answer. Fortunately, again, as I've mentioned multiple times, I married a fucking unicorn, and that woman supports me in ways that I would never be able to show enough gratitude. I express this to her as 100% support. To go do this, there's a significant financial incursion to it if you want to go to the right place. So I just started looking everywhere in the world and found a place in Costa Rica called Soltara that is special. And I'm going to do a separate video specifically on Soltara because it deserves it. The people there, the place that they've built, the people involved, the facilitators, the other people that were there, goddamn, is it special. And I even am at the point that I think Aya called me to that very specific place at the very specific time with those very specific people. Again, we'll talk about that down the road. But what am I looking for in ayahuasca specifically? So I've got the mechanism of I'm trying to clear my cup. But how? I have been working with plant medicine and psilocybin for a purpose for years, as I've mentioned, so I'm very much of a believer in what plant medicine can do. And I start to dive into ayahuasca, and I believe that it can clear, it's a medicine that can clear your soul. I don't fully know how to explain what I was thinking of the application beforehand. There's points that I'm going to, and I don't want to look at it in a reflective nature. I'm trying to look at it from what I thought then. Pardon me. So I'll just leave it at that. It was a medicine, not a drug, medicine, very much. Then as I looked into it, it was coming up over and over again that ayahuasca could be a mirror. And this is a mirror. I have aspects of body dysmorphia where I see a fat person. It's frustrating for sure. But I say that as an example of there's no morpheas with the mirror that ayahuasca is, or that's what I'm believing. That the mirror that it shows you, mentally, physically, to your soul, is absolute fact. Absolute. Whether you like it or not, what it is showing you is not what you want, it's what you need to see. And I was excited for that. In my head, I am able to be cognizant of the fact that I've got a great life. I can do, if I really wanted to live a simpler life, I could retire now. I have a world-class marriage, an incredible wife, a circle of friends that my friends could beat up your friends. No, for real, I'm surrounded by entrepreneurs and people who are just out to crush fucking life, and it is so incredible to be around that. I'm able to mentor and pay all of this forward and see benefits of that mentorship and give it life experience of real world case of myself. It's why I'm doing this. The benefit, if this helps one person, it could change a life, and that fascinates me. And I understand that, or I believed that I could let ayahuasca show my subconscious and see myself for who I am now, not the person that has all these defense mechanisms. I don't need to fight for my life anymore. I'm not poor. I'm not lower middle class. I don't struggle for money. It's the simplest way to say it. I don't need to find love either in a relationship or from my friends. I'm surrounded by amazingness. I am on a path that continues to improve. Every day it seems like I have someone new amazing come into my life, and everything is just going forward in positivity that I don't need these fucking defense mechanisms. But just saying that doesn't make it go away. So I wanted to let my subconscious see is who I am and how do we move forward with that reflection. So that's kind of where I was at going forward, going into it. We'll dive into the experience coming forward. I think before I touch on that, a big thing for me in sharing all of this is probably why I mentioned I hate therapists is I don't think at least the ones that I've sat with, and I've sat with a few, have drastically different fucking lives. Like, I want other team guys to be watching this, and you can see I was one of you. I am one of you. There's trials and tribulations and struggles, and I'll probably do another video down the line of just more specifically what some of those struggles are on a day-to-day basis that I bet a lot of you associate to. And I can be a beacon of what is possible as we put in the impossible fucking work of unpacking all this so we can be the best husbands, dog dads for me, fathers for some of you, friends, mentors, business people, entrepreneurs. Like, just fucking life is amazing and it's meant to be lived. Life is there for us. It doesn't happen to us, it happens for us. And I want to be a real life case study for that, even non-operators. Like, I want some of my struggles to voice them so that you guys can find a piece that maybe you associate to and you're like, hey, Lindsay faced this, he did this, and this is what the benefit or non-benefit was, and give you a path. Let me do a lot of the hard work and heavy lifting to make it a little easier for you. Is my goal. Tomorrow's video, we're gonna go into night one, or ceremony one, which was not what I expected or hoped for. But I believe it was probably coming out of that, what I discovered from that session was the catalyst for all of the greatness that I got out of the rest of the retreat and all of the greatness that I've experienced since then, and probably all the greatness that I will get down the line was that first night and some pretty tough stuff with it. And we'll deep dive. I'm going to be pretty open in the experience. They're going to be long videos. When we're down there, you do sharing circles that I think were fucking invaluable. Hearing other people's perspective and little applications to stuff I go through. And that's really what I'm trying to do for you guys. So hopefully some of you watch this whole thing and you'll be along for the journey. And the why I went through of starting this is a starting point for you. And if you've watched this, now what I offer to you is reach out to me directly. I probably won't read comments much, but just text me or message me, or I guess comment with an email if it's someone I don't know. But if you know me, just reach out and let's get on a video chat and use this as a basis where you can say, I'm going for this reason, I think, or I'm interested for this reason. Did you experience any of this as your reason that I haven't voiced here? And maybe I can give some perspective. But I offer that to you, is listen to this, watch this, and then use me as a tool to hopefully give you the confidence to go forward or not go forward. One thing I want to add that it wasn't on the board, but I've been thinking about from an interaction I had last week. If you are not doing very proactive work to fix yourself, I don't know if I love the term fix yourself, fix yourself, to fix issues that you're having. If you feel you're in a bad spot and you are not putting it on yourself first to seek active help in whatever modality that may be. Be careful with psychedelics. These are not to be trifled with. Like, Bufo was a fucking horrible experience. Like, if I wasn't able to jump right on a call, or if I didn't have my wife sitting there to be able to then immediately comfort me and then jump on a call with a coach, like, I don't know how I would have come out of that. Like, even with years of work that I've been doing, like, it was so horrible. Like, don't fuck around with this stuff. ayahuasca, people were down there that had never done any psychedelics and they got stuff out of it, but because of the incredible facilitators, I truly believe, and just the people that were there with us, we had such a special group supporting each other. But if not, you're gonna waste a lot of money. I spent almost 10 grand on this retreat that I think will make me easy 7 figures. I think I'll make $1 million off of just, at least $1 million in the coming years, the next few years, off of just what I got out of there. I genuinely believe that for you other entrepreneurs out there. But you could just waste a ton of money, like if you're not willing to push in and do the hard work. And it is not fun. I was laughing with my coach this morning. It's like, I love roller coasters. I love psychedelics. But like, if I'm gonna get on the world's most aggressive roller coaster, I'm gonna enjoy that for like a minute or two. I don't wanna ride that shit for 5 to 8 hours. Like, it gets old real quick and difficult, and you are strapped in and stuck on that fucking ride. And sure, there's some benefit, I suppose. Maybe it's a tough example because like you don't get spit out the backside of that and like really have a great experience. Like, so I don't know the best example when I say it out loud. But it is not, if you guys have done acid, if you've done stronger shroom doses, if you've done, I mean, ecstasy or MDMA isn't really the same experience, but like, it's just not that. Like, you are going to do hard fucking work whether you like it or not, or you're gonna not do enough and you're just gonna waste a bunch of money and time and then be disappointed and feel like you're even worse, in a worse spot. So I just caution you against that. And if you guys want to, again, reach out on that point of my true thought on psychedelics, and just be fucking open to the feedback. Like, I'm doing all of this and I'm being the test dummy so that I can give actual fucking feedback. I'm not a news article from a reporter who's interviewing people. I am doing this. So if you reach out to me and I give you my time, take it seriously. I take every minute I give to people very seriously, and the journey that you're on, and the journey that I'm on, and hopefully we can help each other. And so I won't beat that dead horse. Just want to share that at the end is don't fuck around with this stuff. Like, do it purposely. It can change your life, but it's a lot of hard fucking work. So excited to do tomorrow as we get into the first ceremony, and I can't see my phone, so I have no idea how long this was, but hopefully it helped. We'll see you tomorrow. Love you guys, and enjoy the day.